Most people have a secret hobby. Some people collect vintage stamps. Some people make weird ASMR videos with pickles. Me, I was the unofficial, anonymous biographer of every single person in my high school. I had a notebook. But it wasn't just any notebook, it was a thick, leather-bound beast I called the vault. Inside were detailed sketches, observations, and the deepest, darkest, most embarrassing secrets of everyone from the prom queen to the guy who spent every lunch break trying to kickflip over a trash can. It was my masterpiece, it was also my death warrant, and let's just say the truth doesn't always set you free. Sometimes it gets you a one-way ticket to a parent-teacher conference from hell. If you looked at me in the hallways, you wouldn't see much. I was just Leo, the kid who sat in the back of the class and looked like he was intensely focused on algebra. In reality, I was documenting the fact that our star quarterback, Bryce, actually wears high-heeled insoles because he's insecure about being 5'10". I knew that the head of the debate team, Sarah, had a secret obsession with a certain sparkly vampire movie franchise. I was like a private investigator, but without the cool trench coat and with way more acne. The golden rule of the vault was simple: never, under any circumstances, let it out of my sight. It was glued to my hip, I slept with it under my pillow, I even took it to the bathroom. My best friend Toby was the only one who knew about it. He'd always tell me, "Leo, you're playing with fire, man. One day, someone's gonna find that thing and they're gonna turn you into a human pretzel." I'd just laugh and tell him his secret about accidentally calling the English teacher mom in 3rd grade was safe in section 4, page 12. The disaster happened on a Tuesday. Tuesdays are inherently cursed. I was sitting in Mr. Sterling's history class. Mr. Sterling was the kind of teacher who looked like he'd been carved out of a very grumpy piece of driftwood. He hated noise, he hated joy, and he especially hated me. I was busy working on a new entry. I was drawing a very detailed caricature of Mr. Sterling as a giant, angry potato wearing a toupee. It was some of my best work. The shading on the potato's skin was chef's kiss. Suddenly, the fire alarm went off. It wasn't a drill. There was actual smoke coming from the chemistry lab down the hall because someone decided to see what happens when you mix things you definitely shouldn't mix. The room erupted into chaos. Mr. Sterling started screaming about orderly exits, and in the panic of everyone shoving their way toward the door, I got bumped hard. My backpack zipped open, and as I stumbled out into the hallway, the vault slid out like a silent assassin, landing right under Mr. Sterling's desk. I didn't realize it was gone until we were all standing on the football field. I patted my side. Nothing. I checked my bag. Empty. My heart didn't just drop, it performed a triple backflip into my stomach and then disintegrated. Toby looked at me, saw my pale face, and whispered, "Oh no, you didn't." I looked at the school building. It was like looking at a giant tomb. My life was over. Everything I had ever thought about everyone was sitting in a room with a man who looked like an angry potato. The fire department cleared the building an hour later. It was a small kitchen fire in the lab, nothing serious. But for me, the world was burning. I sprinted back to the history room, knocking over a group of freshmen like bowling pins. I burst through the door, panting, sweating, looking like a total maniac. Mr. Sterling was sitting at his desk. He wasn't grading papers, he wasn't looking at the clock, he was holding the vault. The silence in that room was so heavy I felt like I needed a scuba suit. He didn't look up for a full minute. He just slowly turned a page. I stood there frozen. I considered jumping out the window, but we were on the 3rd floor, and I didn't think my insurance covered spontaneous cowardice. Finally, he looked up. His glasses caught the light, making him look like a cyborg from a low-budget movie. "Leo," he said, his voice was unusually calm. "That's always the scariest part. If a teacher is screaming, you're fine. If they're calm, you should start writing your will. I see you have a very active imagination." I tried to speak, but my throat felt like I'd swallowed a handful of dry crackers. I can explain, sir. It's just a creative writing project." He turned the book around. It was the drawing of him as the potato. "Is this part of the curriculum? The potato's toupee is a bit much, don't you think? I don't even wear a toupee." I wanted to die. I wanted the earth to open up and swallow me whole. I'm sorry, Mr. Sterling, it was a joke. I didn't mean for anyone to see it. He flipped back a few pages. What about the section on Principal Miller's secret snack drawer, or the very detailed map of where the janitor hides his collection of discarded fidget spinners? You've been very busy, Leo. You've captured the entire ecosystem of this school. It's impressive, and also deeply, deeply concerning. I thought he was going to expel me on the spot. I envisioned the headlines, "Local boy ruined by potato drawing." But then something weird happened. He closed the book and slid it across the desk toward me. You have a gift for observation, Leo. You see the things people try to hide. But there's a difference between being an observer and being a cynic. When you only look for the embarrassing stuff, that's all you're ever going to find. I grabbed the book like it was a golden ticket. "So, I'm not in trouble," he sighed, leaning back. "You're in detention for the next 2 weeks for drawing me as a vegetable. And you're going to use that time to draw something else. I want a series of portraits of people in this school, but here's the catch. You have to find something good about them. Something they'd actually be proud to see." The next 2 weeks were the most awkward of my life. I sat in that quiet room sketching. I didn't draw Bryce's shoe inserts. I drew the way he always helped the special education students with their bags. I didn't draw Sarah's vampire obsession. I drew the way her face lit up when she won a debate. It was harder. Way harder. Being mean is easy. Being observant enough to see someone's heart, that takes work. When I finally finished the new notebook, Mr. Sterling looked through it. He actually smiled. It was terrifying, like seeing a solar eclipse, but it was a real smile. "This is better, Leo. Use your eyes for something that builds people up, not just pulls them down." Word eventually got out that I had a secret notebook, of course. People started calling me the spy. But instead of being the guy everyone was afraid of, I became the guy people went to when they wanted to see a cool drawing of themselves. I still have the vault, but it stays locked in a drawer at home. It's a reminder of the time I almost ruined my life over a potato. The moral of the story: everyone has secrets. Everyone has things they're embarrassed about. But if you spend all your time looking for the dirt, you're just going to end up covered in mud. Also, if you're going to draw your teacher as a vegetable, for the love of everything, make sure you don't leave it behind during a fire drill. Seriously, my heart still does a weird flip every time I see a bag of potatoes in the grocery store. It's a traumatic experience I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. Stay observant, guys, but keep it kind. And maybe keep your backpack zipped. It's a real lifesaver.